Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game So today we're gonna get a very exciting episode, guys. This evening because over the weekend, Sonic Unleashed Recompiled came out, and to say this is a masterclass on how to recompile a game, let alone one on the Xbox 360, it is an absolute understatement. The amount of effort that went into a project like this is probably staggering, and it's going to lead to a lot of 360 recompilations in the future. So much so that later this week, I'm going to do a video specifically on the recompilation tools to talk about what this is going to look like going forward, because this is an absolute breakthrough in recompiling source code to a new piece of target hardware. And because Sonic Unleashed is such a fun game in spots, seeing this run on a modern PC in 4K resolutions at 120 frames per second is absolutely mind-boggling. The amount of improvements and overall enhancements in this build of the game recompiled are just nothing short of staggering. And if you think about it this way, we just started getting Nintendo 64 recompilation projects in 2024, and now all of a sudden we've skipped over a whole generation and you have an Xbox 360 game completely decompiled and recompiled. And if you've never played Sonic Unleashed before, I can guarantee you the Xbox 360 version does not look anywhere near this good. This is absolutely 100% stellar. It is wild to see how many improvements you can get in, and just in motion, this is absolutely insane. If you hear any background noise, we have had a little bit of a life change over the weekend. This little bugger was adopted, and that's why I'm doing a video on Monday, not Sunday. Leading names so far are either Fenrir, Daytona, or Sal. So leave a comment down below and you tell me what we should name that dog, because my wife and I adopted a 3-month-old Australian Shepherd shelter puppy, so I'm a day late on the video, but honestly 100% worth it. But if you can just look at the motion right now, the clarity, the overall lighting models, everything about Sonic Unleashed here looks absolutely like something they could have released yesterday. If Sega put this game out and said it was running on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X hardware, I would just say, yep, 100% checks out to me. The frame rate, the motion clarity, the increased model resolution, everything from start to finish, the heads-up display, every single pixel and every single polygon within this build is just absolutely mind-blowingly pretty. And this is definitely a good-looking game. Now, you might love or might hate the Werehog stages. They are definitely divisive, but as far as the actual speed stages here with Sonic, I do think they're some of the best layouts Sega's ever done as far as a 3D Sonic game is concerned. And while I do have a copy of this game and an Xbox 360, honestly not a ton of people out there have kept it around, so it's one of those things. It is fun to have this, and of course it is still a Sonic game, so you're still going to end up falling off the world every once in a while. It is just part and parcel for the real Sonic the Hedgehog experience in 3D. But the team here, Hedge Dev, has just done an amazing job trying to bring this game into a modern platform, and I can't stress enough, this isn't just going to be useful for something like Sonic the Hedgehog. There is now a whole suite of tools for recompilation for Xbox 360 on GitHub that can and will be used in the future to bring other projects like this over. Now, I don't want you to think that this is a one-click automatic win as far as how recompilation works. It still takes human man-hours and it still requires attention to detail, but it now means the tools do exist so other teams can take on projects like this. And just think of the vast and amazing library of the Xbox 360 and what developers could do with it now that they have these recompilation tools. You could have games from the Xbox 360 looking like they just came out today, basically refreshing the entire console, because as good as the 360 is, it definitely is showing its age these days, and even something like the next Xbox, the Xbox One X, definitely had much better processing power and much better graphical fidelity. But just think, getting the entire 360 library looking like a modern release, that would be absolutely mind-blowing. And I know I talk a lot about FPGA on the channel, and I talk a lot about software emulation, but recompilation moving forward in the next 5 to 10 years is going to absolutely be a massive shift in how people continue to play games. Because this is not emulation, obviously it's not FPGA, it's taking the source code of the original game and recompiling it to run on different hardware. And that is no easy feat whatsoever. If that doesn't make logical sense, I totally wouldn't blame you. Think of it this way. It's like real-time translating one language to another, spoken or written. But in this instance, it's like a machine language, obviously the code underlying all of what makes the game function. And recompiling it is doing that translation from one instruction set and one type of processor, in the Xbox 360's instance, the PowerPC, to something more like a modern Intel or AMD chipset. So to say that it's an easy lift would be an absolute falsehood. It is very complex, but it's soundtrack sample time, because as good as the visuals look, the audio is just the same, and I'll be right back.
Here we go!
Sounds absolutely amazing to match with the visuals, and that is just how good of a job Hedge Dev has done with this. The team has basically just made a brand new Sonic Unleashed, except it's the original Sonic Unleashed just completely recompiled. And big thanks to the moderator of my Discord, the Cool Pup, with helping with captures on this. Like I said, my weekend has been absolutely puppy filled. I got about 8 minutes to actually play this game in the background before I was right back out of my studio and into the rest of the house, trying to actually get this puppy to relax, because he is totally a chill dog, but he definitely needs a lot of training because he spent the first 3 months of his life waiting for somebody to come along. So again, I'm going to be definitely playing this a lot more and talking about it in the future. But even look at these cutscenes here. These look absolutely staggering. It has all of the charm and flair of Sonic Team's visuals, especially for Sonic Unleashed. They just look absolutely incredible in this new recompilation. This just looks like straight up native 4K production on the art. All of the animations are correct. There really isn't anything that I can see in the gameplay captures in playing it myself that makes me think this isn't anything other than a product that Sega released this week as a new release. And that is the #1 compliment you can pay to any sort of fan project like this. If you have no idea that it wasn't released by a multinational $1 million company like Sega, you'd have no idea that it was made by fans. That means that they have just absolutely nailed the project from start to finish. And I love this Greek seaside theme as well. All of those whites, all of the shadows, everything just looks incredible. The interplay between the light and shadow comes across so well here on the recompilation and looks obviously even better than the original game, because you just have a much higher resolution in basically everything. Those lines on the shadows are absolutely sharp. I can't really see any aliasing in them whatsoever. Maybe this little line right here has a little bit of a stagger step, but otherwise it seems 100% good to go. And of course, I do need to talk about the werehog levels as well, because that is half of what Sonic Unleashed is. And while fun and definitely creative, it isn't the same as the speed levels, and this is where this game definitely can feel a little even or uneven. But I would say the werehog stages definitely feel more fun in the recompilation project because they just play better. I remember back in the day, some of these I felt like could be a little bit laggy and imprecise, but now doing something like running it at 120 frames per second, it just feels fluid and smooth. It still, of course, has the same gameplay hook as the original game. This changes nothing about the overall gameplay mechanic, so if you didn't like the werehog stages in the original release, there's not going to be anything here in the recompilation that's going to improve those. But speaking of improvements, the metric crap ton of options you have to change this thing around are just absolutely wild. You have different icons for Xbox and 360, you have all sorts of camera controls and icon controls, you're going to have an entire audio menu, not a whole ton to play around with there. I'll just basically leave everything as is. It should be good to go, but in video, you can just absolutely screw around with this thing. You can go 4:3, 16:9, scale the resolution around to get a higher or lower internal rendering resolution. You have full screen options, and of course you can play around with the frames per second, driving them up as high as you possibly can. But one more soundtrack sample, because I can't stress enough just how good this game sounds. 30 seconds and I'll be right back with more.
Here comes the parade!
I've got this one, Sonic. Tornado, battle mode engaged.
I do love the music in Sonic Unleashed. I think it is a straight 10 out of 10, but just take a look at the visual quality here. All of the depth of field effect, the clouds coming in, how everything comes into focus, all of the icons on the enemies where you have to shoot them, the plane in and of itself, the model for Sonic and Tails in the recompiled version of this game. It looks absolutely 100% incredible, and I think it looks even prettier as far as the graphics are concerned than Sonic Frontiers, obviously a modern game. But this is just absolutely mind-bogglingly amazing that people were able to pull this off. PowerPC chipsets and PowerPC instructions and code are not easy things to deal with whatsoever. the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era, the last ones to use PowerPC, was a very complicated hardware set, so the fact that people have actually been able to decompile and recompile these things and give you a build of Sonic Unleashed that looks this good is a monumental leap forward as far as how we're going to be playing video games in the future. I can't stress enough, I'm sure some people will say clickbait, but this is absolutely going to be the future of gaming, and I'm here to talk about it. But we are done. There's a link to play down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
It was a little bit before the tremors hit. This old man showed up with a